Hi, I'm Larry Puckett. As I explained in the video that I released on Monday, I've already pre-cut all the lumber for this, and I have provided a list of materials for you in the description for that video, and I will try to remember to put it in this one as well. That way, if you want to build what I've done, you can go ahead and order it, or go ahead and purchase the materials, cut it out, and get going with doing the build yourself. Now, this basically is a fairly simple build. As you can see here, it's a box with 4 sides, 1x4s by 4 foot long, 1x4s that are 22.5 inches to give us a 2x4 foot box. And then it has a 1/2 inch plywood top to it. Again, 2x4 feet. So all pretty standard dimensions and easy to cut type of stuff. Everything is screwed together with the screws that I listed in the description, and we'll show you those in a minute. So this can go together fairly quickly once you get all the pieces cut out for it and all the materials and tools that you're going to need set aside and ready to go. So hopefully that will be the case, and I'll be able to get this together fairly quickly. So what I'd like to do today is build the basic box, get the top on it, possibly be able to get to the legs of the cross brace installation. I doubt we'll be able to get the wheels on today. That'll be for another video, and also to make provisions for connecting the modules together. So I think it's probably going to take about a year for us to get the modules built, transferred the track plan and lay track on it to do all the wiring and start the initial scenery, that kind of thing. So we've got a lot to do. So let's go ahead and get started with the build at this point. And for that, I'm going to move this out of the way and bring in the work table that I've got set up with the lumber that we're going to need. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Now, I'm not even going to try to get my head in this, and you can just listen to me talk and point to the stuff. Okay, so I've got the basic piece of plywood that's going to be the top of the module, and then I've got the side pieces right here. I've got 2 of the ends already pre-cut and ready, and then this will be a cross brace that will be in the center of each module. So that's all we need to get started. I have a pair of corner clamps that I'm going to use to make sure I get good right angles on everything. I have my screws. These are 6 by 1 5/8, and they are a interior construction screw. They're available at most hardware stores. I got this one at Lowe's, but you get a box full of them and they go a long way. And I have my my one drill set up with a countersinking bit, and then I have my other drill set up with a screwdriver tip. Okay, so let's get it set up. Smooth side out. And then, as I said, these are 22.5 inches at the ends, because 22.5 plus 3/4 and another 3/4 in width is going to give you 24 inches, which is what we want. So these go on the inside corners of these, like that. Now, I'm going to bring the camera in so we can take a close look at what I'm going to be doing on the corners. Okay, so here is the front, and then I'm going to go ahead and set up one of the end pieces right here. And we'll install a corner clamp that is going to give us a nice 90-degree angle here on the ends. And you really don't need these, but I have them, so I'm going to use them. So you get that squared up and clamp it down good and tight on that side, and repeat it right here. And that's going to give you a nice tight 90-degree angle here, and hold it while I do my screwing. So let's go ahead and make a couple of holes. Now, it's very important to use a countersinking bit when you're working with projects like this, because we're going to be working right here on the ends. And when you sink a screw in here without doing countersinking first, there's a very good chance you're going to split it out. So if you look real close at this, what it is, it's just got an angled bit right here at the base of the drill bit. So that's your guide, and that cuts a hole in the surface of the wood that you're working on so that the head of your screw will go in and it will fit flush and it's not going to split out. Okay, so I'm just going to, it doesn't matter that you measure these. It's not, you know, we're not building a rocket here. Okay, so we got 2 of those in. I'm going to move my screws over here so they'll be ready for me each time. And then we can go ahead and screw it in. Okay, so you can see we've got a good flush fit, nice square tight joints here on this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this on all the other 3 corners here on the module. So I don't think I need to show you that each time, so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll come back after I'm done. Okay, and so this is the last corner right here. We'll get that one done and move on to a center brace, or center support. Okay, there we are. And since I built the other modules 4 years ago, I haven't had a single bit of splitting on any of the ends of the members or any of the wood that I used. So make sure that you use one of these countersink bits that you can pick up at just about any hardware store. Works great. Now this center support is another 22.5-inch piece of 1x4, and it's going to sit right here in the middle and support the plywood surface here, and also it's going to keep this from bulging out any. So it's going to pull it together and maintain that rigidity. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this so that we know exactly where the center is, and we'll be able to get this installed without any problem. Pull this out. Since we're 4 feet long, we'll go 2 feet and mark the center here. And over on this side as well. Okay. Now, I'll bring that right over here on each side. And again, we'll use these right angle corner clamps to get a good square joint and a good tight one. Okay, let's pull that into place there. And here, get it lined up so it's centered. And I've already checked on my plans and made sure that this center support is located so it's not going to interfere with installation of any of the switch machines or the track work on the surface. And that's something you want to make sure of, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to pull one of these out and move it later on, particularly if you decide to glue all this stuff together. Okay, there's the first one. Let me get this over here done. And I'm going to push down and make sure I've got a good tight joint here. There. Okay, now we can do these. And again, essentially the same thing. I'm just going to drill 2 holes here in the end and put 2 screws in. And you can see those heads are countersunk nice and flush there. And that's going to be important because I'm going to put a hardboard fascia on the front of this module. So you want everything countersunk, flush, and you don't want to split out any of your wood. Okay, let me work over here and do the same thing. Let's see, I'll turn this so you can see what I'm doing. Although it's not all that different from what I just did. But let's go ahead and get it done. And 2 more screws. And that's it for that part. So the next thing we'll do is we'll flip this over and we'll attach the piece of plywood to the top. Okay, I put the piece of plywood on top of the box and got it all lined up nice and square on the top of the box here. Let me make sure again. Yep, everywhere square. Now you notice there's a little bit of a crown here, a little bit of a upward bend. So you want that to be on the top so that as you screw it down, it's going to pull that bend down, okay? And I'm going to start with the screws here in the middle, and that will allow me to get that bend taken care of. Now another thing that I need to do is mark the location of that center support, because I want to be able to get my screws in there as well. So let's mark that right now. There we go. Then I'll take, this is a a ruler. You can get this at a lot of places, Lowe's, Home Depot, that kind of thing. It's actually made for working with sheetrock, but I find it great for other purposes because it's got a nice square built into it, and of course it's got a good way of measuring. Gives you a good way of measuring these long joints like this. Okay, so that's where those screws need to be. And we're going to put one, we're going to start right about here, and we'll do one here. Then we're going to do one in the center. Okay, so that is going to be 24, so this is 12 inches right there. And we'll put another one here between 0 and 12 would be 6 inches. And another one up here at 18 inches. Okay, so that'll allow us to get this crown set down and give us a nice tight joint. So let's do those first. So I'm going to do a hole here. And we'll put in a screw, and that will pull the bend out of it from all locations, from all directions. And then let's go ahead and knock off all the rest of these. There we go. And put in some screws. And again, I'm going to work from the inside to the outside so that I can make sure I flatten the top of the plywood. And this is also going to flatten it this way as well. So we'll have a good flat surface to work with in the future. We won't have any bumps to deal with on the track. So you can see how everything is fitting flush there. Great. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and let's mark out all the way around the side here. And let's see, on the other module, I didn't do a lot of these. So let's see. And we'll start over here. We got 24, so let's do one at 8 inches. Yeah, let's do one at about 8. And 16, 24, and 32, and 40. Okay, that'll do that side. And we're going to do it over here the same. 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. Okay, and let's go ahead and do the ends. Okay, we got 6 inches on these, so it's here, 6, 12, 18, 24. And come back on this side as well, 12, 18. Okay, so we've got our drill pattern all laid out there, so let's go ahead and we'll drill the holes and put some screws to it. Since you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the camera off and go ahead and drill a bunch of holes and come back in a minute. Now I want to show you something else I'm going to do. In order to get the screws centered on this 1x4 here, I'm going to take a piece of 1x2 and I'm going to mark the inner position so that I know where I can hit center here. And I've done this on the other side, so let's do it here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want it to be at least close to where the hole is going to be. So I can get that. Like that. And that's all I need there. So now I know if I drill here, I'm going to be dead center. So let me go ahead and do that. And do a couple of screws, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest of this off camera for you. And punch another one right there. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to turn the camera off, go ahead and do all of these around, and I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, so I've got all the holes drilled, so let's go ahead and work from the center out, putting in more screws. So I'm going to work back here, like that. And we'll work here. And I'm going to do the center at each end. At this point, I'm not sure it matters that much, but we will. Get it down good and tight. And then I've only got a few more to do. So I'll be back when I've got them all finished. And this is the last screw to get done. Okay, so we got the top of the box all completed now. At the last minute, I decided to add another set of screws to each corner, just to make sure we got a good tight fit there as well. Because you want to make sure those corners stay nice and square and tight. And we'll put in some screws. Okay, so that should give it a very tight square fit. So now let's get started with installing the legs. And at this point, I'm going to do things just a little bit different from what I did on the earlier modules, because on those modules, I use carriage bolts to hold the legs on. I'm not going to do that this time. The reason behind using carriage bolts was I was assuming, that I was building a set of modules that might need to have the legs removed occasionally to move it from place to place without legs on it. However, I haven't found that was necessary, and I thought it was overkill. So I'm just going to use these exterior wood screws, number 8 by 2 inch, okay? And they're going to hold it in fairly well, along with the corner braces that I'll be putting in. So those are going to go in right through here on the front. And so I'm going to clamp this up back here. And let me tell you, these Irwin Quick Grip clamps are the greatest thing in the world when you're doing projects like this, because, you can get a good clamp on that real quick, and it's not an issue. Now, these appear to be some coated material. I'm not sure what they're made of, but it's got a 10-year warranty against rust and corrosion. So these are going to hold up real well, and they're heavy enough so that they're going to stabilize these legs without any problem. Let me go ahead and drill a couple of holes, and we'll punch them in. And out here. Okay. And now we'll take the screwdriver and drive them home. Okay. And that suddenly pulled that in there real good and tight. Okay. So there we have one leg set in place. And I'm going to do this on all 4 corners now. So I'll catch up with you in a minute. And here we go with the last one. Like that. And a couple of screws. So now we got all the legs stable. Now, of course, people are starting to wonder, okay, so that stabilizes it this way. What keeps it from wobbling this way? Well, leg braces. So let me show you how those are going to work. So what do we have here? These are called my leg braces or supports. And I've cut these at a 45-degree angle so that they're going to fit flush against the side here. And then these are going to go in like this. And then I've cut these little blocks out of scrap 2x2. And they're going to act as an offset for this brace, because I've got a 2x2 here that it's sitting on. So in order to keep it straight and true, I'm going to put a little support right here as well. Let me see if those are in the way. That's better. Now you can see. So a little piece of 2x2 sitting here, and that's going to be screwed to that. So right off, what I want to do is get this clamped to the inside of the leg. And again, that's where these clamps come in so handy. Okay, like this. And then I'm going to take this guy and set him down here so that I'll be able to get this attached to the side frame here. So this is going to give me a nice brace for this leg. So it's not going to move this way, and it's not going to move that way because the screws are holding it in. In addition, we'll have other supports at the end of each leg. So let me get these out of the way and go back to my other screws. And the first thing I need to do then is attach these to the outside here. So for that, I need to drill a couple of holes, and I'm going to drill them out here. And that will allow me, and I'll show you this again on the other side when I do that one over there. And I'll put in another one. Okay, so that's stable. Now for this guy here, I'm going to drill a hole and put a screw through it and mount him. Okay, so that's stable. Now we've got to come back over here, and I can take this clamp off now because that's held in place by the screws. And we'll drill a couple of holes. Got my countersinking bit here, and we got that one in. Do it again. There we go. So that gives me a good, stable support for this leg. It's not going to go, it's pretty rigid. And then when I do the cross beams here between the two legs, that's going to stabilize them side to side as well. Okay, let me come around here, and we'll get this set up. It's going to come out here, and then this is going to go in at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so it's going to be just like this. And we'll go ahead and clamp this little guy here in place. There. Okay. Now I can get one screw in, like this. And that'll hold it while I do the other screw. And we'll drill another hole here. It really helps to have two screwdrivers to do this. Let me put a clamp on this guy here. Okay, and I'm going to come around on the other side and drill that hole. Another screw. And that's done. Now we'll just drill this one and attach him. And that's the last leg. Okay, so next time we'll be installing these pairs of leg spreaders or braces, whatever you want to call them, and also we'll install the wheels that go on the bottoms here to give this thing nice mobility. So that'll take a few minutes to knock those projects out. Plus we'll do a few other things here and get this module finished up and ready for adding the track plan and things like that. So have a great week, and I'll see you here hopefully next Friday. Bye now.